Hello again and welcome to the corner studio here in my garage, and I see from our teleprompter it is time for Friday evening camera talk number 28, and I've got some interesting items I want to talk about tonight. Some of it is pretty straightforward, others will slip sideways into some really subjective stuff as the program goes on. I'll mention now we've got some wildlife clips at the end. They're kind of running out. I have enough for one more program on the computer right now, and not really a great prospect for going out and getting more because the weather, we're just alternatingly socked in by gray days, rain, and sometimes cold, and it's just not working out for us right now when we go out in the field. So I'm going to have to find some other stuff to entertain us, but we've got tonight's wildlife clips. Like I said, I'll park them at the end of the show, and we have enough for another Friday evening camera talk, and that's it. But I got these lenses out, and I actually want to talk about the lenses first. This is the 400 4.5. Of course, these are lenses for the Nikon mirrorless Z line. This is the 600 6.3, which is relatively new to our household. This is part of the wife's kit now, and she's gone to run some errands and left her camera out in the open upstairs on one of the tables, and I seized it, brought it down here. I do remember exactly how it was positioned and how the strap was, so I'll just put it back, and it should just be right back in its proper place when she gets back from running her errands. We needn't have even worried her about mentioning borrowing it for the show tonight. But what happens when you try to do a search for camera information on a particular item? Well, we all know that on YouTube you get these quote reviews or whatever that are, basically when a new product rolls out, it's cheerleading. Well, this has been out for a while. It's for us, this lens 400. This lens here, I'll tell you guys, it's solid gold for us. This lens has been out in the field, it's been tested. There's not anything wrong with it. It will give you a great result, and this is one of our go-to lenses, and it's ended up in my kit now that the 600 has gone to the wife's kit. But I think when new products roll out, and the 600 is not, it's been out for a few months, it's not, it was announced back in the fall at some point, and I didn't bother to look that up when I got in front of the camera. I know the 180 to 600 came out, and then a lag period happened, and then suddenly they announced this one. People didn't really know it was coming, and people who got the lens kind of in advance and did a segment, you never know, it's almost always cheerleading. I mean, if something came out, and you can just fill in the blank with about any of the camera makers or whatever, even if it's just the most awful merchandise, there will be people out there doing a cheerleading video and make it sound like the greatest thing. So you almost got to wait for stuff to be out for a while and then kind of tread carefully even when you do. But I have every faith and confidence in this lens. We've only just recently obtained it, and we've tested a little bit, and it shows a lot of promise. I'm becoming more and more confident in the purchase as time goes on. But the wife's been using it, and I'm actually going to set up something here in the studio at some point. It might be, we might talk about that later in the program if I can get the clips, but I'm going to do a little testing with these lenses here in the studio. What I want to continue with, though, is just talking about the two of these lenses and what kind of footing they're on. How do you when you look at these reviews, you'll see the ones where somebody will have the lenses stacked up, and then they've got a spec sheet that they're more or less reading to you, and I don't think you can get very much information that way. But I like to hear when people have used their gear a little bit, and then they say, well, here's a observation that I have about this, and I've already picked up kind of a couple. Just this lens has been in the house such a short period of time, but first thing you notice is they feel like they're about the same length. I mean, if we stacked them on the table here, the 600 is a little bit longer, but it's not very much longer. It's only about 1.75 inches maybe. This is 9.3 inches, this is 11 inches. And when you pick up each lens, the 400, I mean, I've used this lens a lot, and it still kind of surprises me when I reach for this and you pick it up. It surprised me how light it is. It's 2.55 pounds. This one is 3.24 pounds, so that's 3/4 pound difference, 11 ounces roughly. And when you pick this lens up and you pick this one up, you do notice a little bit of a difference. The 600, there's more heft to it, but it's not so much that you feel like the camera is unbalanced with the lens on the body. You don't feel like you're struggling to have to hold it up. So this lens in that way is almost a continuation of the 400. The 400 is so easy to work with in the field, and the 600, around our household anyway, it's already earning the reputation of being kind of easy to work with. You put it on the camera, it doesn't jut out there, it doesn't try to pull you forward, it doesn't unbalance the camera. And the wife uses the Wimberley gimbal setup, as we've mentioned on this show before. I'm shooting right now with 2 different tripods. You guys know from watching this channel, tripods, kind of a weakness of mine. I keep buying tripods, I can't seem to help myself, but I've been shooting with a Leo photo tripod, which is relatively new. I've got a Winston that I bought some months back. That's a 3-legged thing. It's a solid tripod for the field. It lacks some features that I like, but it's still a solid performer in the field. I'm also using a Manfrotto fluid head, and a longer lens has less effect on me than it does with the wife putting it on the Wimberley gimbal and trying to get everything completely properly balanced. But this lens is not hard to get balanced and set up. The 400 was easy. I'll just phrase it, this lens is not hard. But when you do start using this lens, there's something that I've already noticed which people kind of just gloss over, but I'm going to just say, if you're out and about and using it, minimum focus distance on this thing, according to Nikon's website, is 13 feet, and I haven't taken a tape measure out with me, but I have a feeling it is indeed at least 13 feet. Whereas this one is listed on the website as being 8.2 feet, and there is very few times when I've got the 400 on that I feel like I'm too close to my subject, and when I do, I just back up a step or two. But I have already run into the circumstance where I've been a tad too close with the 600 on the camera, and I've not felt like I could just back up a foot or two, a step or two. I've just been too close and not been able to get the shot. So right now, that's one of the biggest, most stark differences between the two of these lenses, is the minimum focus distance, other than the price. Right now, the 400 is on sale, $3,000. The 600 is regular price is $4,800. So you've got $3,000 here, $4,800. That's over 50% more for this lens. It feels like a lot of money, and I'm not trying to tell people how to spend their money or how to not spend their money, because we bought this lens and I paid full price for this lens. I didn't get this one, the 400, on sale, and we've paid full price for the 600, but it feels like an investment when you're doing it. And if you're at all nervous about making an investment in the 600, I'm going to tell you that for all practical purposes, the 400 is a very, very fine lens. I think I called it solid gold earlier. I would unhesitatingly recommend this lens to anybody that has doubts about paying the extra for the 600. Let's talk about the way that I shoot versus the way that the wife shoots. I used to be a photographer. I came up doing photography even as a child, and I was using my father's kit. He had a Nikkor mat and a few lenses, and I came up in the film camera age, yes, where you click and then you advance the roll of film, and then you take it in and you spend the money for the processing and all that stuff. So I've been around a while, and fast forward to now, I don't take many pictures anymore. I shoot video almost, I mean, I'm at least 90–95% video now. It's unusual for me to take very many pictures when I'm out in the field doing something. I'll take some for reference, or when I see a bird, I'll get a couple of shots, or when I see a deer or whatever I'm shooting, I might get a photo first just to have it, and then I'll start shooting video. The wife shoots a little more pictures, and for me, I have no hesitation. We've used the 1.4 teleconverter, and we've used the 2.0 here in the household. I have no compunction whatsoever about putting the 2.0 teleconverter on this 400 lens and turning it into an 800 by means of the magic of Nikon and their teleconverters. And I think the output, the quality when you use the 2.0 is pretty good. And for video, I don't really think you're shaving that much off. Now, you photographers out there, you guys, some of you guys will say, I want to get it absolutely right, and maybe you're not going to with the 2.0 teleconverter. The wife's got the 1.4 teleconverter in her kit. She's been using it a little bit with this lens, and if you start talking about teleconverters, the 2.0 is about $600, the 1.4 is $550, and the conventional wisdom is that the 1.4 produces really nice results, whereas the 2.0 is less nice. And I'm kind of a contrarian, and I always look to grab, that standard conventional wisdom with, if I can grab that with the edge of my fingernails and pull it back, I usually will, but I don't find anything in my own results to upset that. I think that the 1.4 teleconverter gives you a better result, in my opinion, than the 2.0, and I have no compunction though for the video that I shoot using the 2.0 teleconverter and turning this into an 800 lens. And the wife has decided that with the 1.4 teleconverter, and I didn't write the translation down, I wasn't the top in my class, as I've mentioned before, a little bit of arithmetic, but 600 times 0.4 is 2.4, so that's 6 plus 2 is 8 plus 40 is 840. So that gets you with the 1.4 teleconverter to 840, and over here the 2.0 gets you to 800. So when we go out in the field, we have the capability, both of us now, to shoot slightly at 800 or slightly above it, and that's without resorting to using the DX mode. And it feels like that's presented us with the capability, having that extra reach. And the thing that happens, when you bring, whether you're married, single, whatever, when you bring a new piece of equipment into the house, and it has kind of, like these arcade machines that they have over in Japan, where the ball, pachinkos, where the ball filters down and urine points and eventually it gets to the bottom and goes to the tray or whatever. When you do that with your camera kit and you bring a new lens into the house, it upsets the paradigm that you had before. And for us, the 600, the wife took the 600, the 400 was moved over to my kit, and I still have my 100 to 400. And I would also mention that the 100 to 400 is on sale right now for $2,500, but $2,500. That's, I use the 1 to 400 a lot, and I have a lot of faith and confidence in that lens, and that's the type of lens you can pack around with you. And if you put the 2.0 teleconverter on there, you're going to get a little less result than you do just with the 400 prime, but that's still a solid, respectable kind of result that you get out of that. So there it is with the lenses. And when I get these things out in the field a little bit more, and I start, you know, crunching video in front of the computer, I'll be able to say more about these guys. But for right now, I think their roles have kind of started to gel a little bit. It's not, you know, the concrete hasn't set yet, but I sort of am starting to feel like the 600 is, it's going to earn its way, and I think we'll be very pleased with the purchase. But you feel like you're at the edge of a precipice and about to step off when you go to spend that kind of money on a lens, because it's going to take you more than the, you know, obviously if something's wrong with it, you're going to find that out pretty fast and just return it. But to actually like vet a lens and take it out and use it and get used to it in the field, that takes some time. And I feel like I've stepped off the precipice, and it's going to be a nice soft landing with this lens. I have every faith it's going to work out. Geez, I've rambled on here, and I just wanted to give people a unvarnished and just straight, you know, just shooting as straight as I know how between this 400 and the 600 lens, just so you know where I'm coming from with each lens. But there it is, and I think what we'll do is move on to the next segment. So I'll take a break here and be right back. All right, as you can see, I use the wildlife clips as kind of an intermission, and we're not going to be able to do the test with the 600 versus the 400 here in the studio, and the reason is I can't get far enough away from my subject area over here in this region of the studio. Setting up the tripod, we've moved equipment and some stuff into the garage for winter storage, and is just not working with me today. So I prefer to do these tests outside anyhow, and we'll get around to it in the next couple of weeks once the weather clears. So we're going to move that segment to you know, the next episode of Friday Evening Camera Talk, or maybe the one after that. And want to thank everybody for showing up tonight, and we hope to see you again soon in another video. So till then, take care.